And now to another hot topic. The decision by Slovakia and Hungary to stop supplying diesel to Ukraine has sparked heated discussions. Are we facing a shortage and will prices skyrocket? The information noise instantly became as loud as the roar of generators that run on diesel. Let me remind you, Budapest and Bratislava have stopped supplying diesel fuel until Kyiv resumes the transit of Russian crude oil through the pipeline. Druzhba. So will the Ukrainian market suffer? Who stands to gain and who will lose from the suspension of supplies? Our Yulia Chekicina investigated.
This is the Druzhba oil pipeline. Russian oil flows through it to Hungary and Slovakia. The pipeline was damaged back at the end of January. So due to the damaged infrastructure, it is difficult to restore the flow. In turn, Budapest and Bratislava accused Kyiv of deliberately delaying the restoration of transit.
We have information that the oil pipeline was supposed to be repaired. I perceive what is happening with the oil today as political blackmail against Hungary because of its uncompromising stance on Ukraine's EU membership.
Yesterday, Hungary and Slovakia halted diesel fuel exports to Ukraine until the pipeline is restored. Ukraine's foreign ministry spokesperson noted that the Hungarians' unwillingness to end their reliance on Russian oil is at odds with the European Union's position. And I quote, "It resembles an addiction."
There is the Adria oil pipeline, which is fully ready for use, and there are no technical reasons for these countries to remain dependent on Russian oil. For these countries, none exist. But unfortunately, we do not see even attempts to break free from dependence on Russian oil. On the contrary, quite the opposite. In the policy of the European Union, we see attempts to stay on this needle for as long as possible. And
experts see such actions by Budapest and Bratislava as signs of blackmail towards Kyiv.
The political leaders who are currently in power are persistently manipulating, let's put it that way, by employing various economic levers and pressures against Ukraine because they are politically motivated in this way. And they have turned out to be economically dependent on the supply of Russian hydrocarbons.
This is not the first time that the supply of diesel has been stopped, but previously this was due to other reasons.
The last such incident took place during the fall of 2025, which was only a few months ago, occurring as a direct result of an accident at the Hungarian oil refinery. Consequently, at that time, fuel supplies were completely halted for several weeks. Nevertheless, this did not have a particularly significant impact on the overall market.
Andriy Zakrevsky shares the same opinion. According to him, Ukraine imports a total of 800,000 tons of diesel fuel. Of this amount, Hungary and Slovakia supply only 40,000 tons. This accounts for just 5% of the market.
We have the capability to supply from Poland and we have the capability to supply from Romania. Accordingly, this volume will be quite easy to cover.
Experts assure that even if 40% of supplies are lost, the Ukrainian diesel fuel market will not suffer. After all, the system itself is built in such a way that there are enough supply sources.
The supply of petroleum products in Ukraine is now so diversified that the loss of perhaps 40% of the supply system will not lead to anything significant. Right now, our supply is as diversified and balanced as possible.
Drivers are most interested in the price. The finance ministry says a liter of diesel costs nearly 61 hryvnias, and since late January, the price has fluctuated by 40 kopecks. Serhiy Kuyun assures no price hike is expected soon.
A price increase can only happen if there is a shortage. And as I already said, there will be no shortage as a result of the suspension of these supplies. Accordingly, as always, we will depend on two factors: global quotations and the exchange rate. And
if the Ukrainian market does not require rescue, there are doubts about the Hungarian one.
Slovakia and Hungary have exemptions from the European embargo on oil supplies. This agreement comes with the specific and mandatory stipulation that any and all fuel products they manage to produce from imported Russian crude oil can only be exported directly to the nation of Ukraine. That is, accordingly, if they are now trying to bring in Russian oil from the sea, for example, through Croatia, they will still have to look for a buyer. And the only buyer will be in Ukraine. There won't be any other.
As a result, Hungary will have to use its strategic oil reserves, transport Russian crude by sea, and pump it through Croatia. But the Minister of Economy of this country, Ante Șușniar, assured that they are ready to help with the transit. However, not with oil from the aggressor country. Currently, Hungary has already threatened to stop exporting electricity and natural gas to Ukraine. Yulia Chekicina, Alexander Kruglikov. Details on Inter TV channel. United News Marathon.